Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be breaking down the following typical themes of the Jobava London. How to punish the inaccurate move order with c5 followed by a6. How you can literally trap black's queen in 10 moves and get a free win. How to destroy the king's Indian setup. And at the end of the video we're going to be tackling the Slav setup. Okay, let's go d4. Go for the Jobava London, getting knight c3, bishop to f4. We see c5 going e3. cd followed by a6 is one of my favorite lines, and against this it's important that we take on c5. That's why it's better for black to start with cd and then a6. And now don't play knight a4 because they have e5, but start with this. The v6 we're going knight a4. Now there's a line to take with the bishop and go queen a5 check, regaining the pawn, but giving up the bishop pair, which is something we can play around, and the bishop stays well on d3 in these structures. And yeah, white should have slight edge with the bishop pair. Generally the positions are just easier to play as white. He goes b5. I think that's maybe a mistake because of b4 and then a4, because queen c3 is not working in view of rook c1 and the knight will drop, and after queen e7 wanted to put pressure on the queen side, and I think e5 runs into ab. Now putting pressure on the knight, has to play bishop d7 like only move, and we have to watch out for his pawn push. Can we go b5? That's also quite juicy because he can't really take as the rook will be lost. And knight b8, well, doesn't look so appealing. At least can take and go queen takes on a6. Is there anything better? Probably there is. Like even queen a3, we're winning it slowly just for the endgame because the pawn is doomed anyways. Queen a3, rook a3, they castle, and maybe we have b6 or something funny in that position. Yeah, I feel like queen a3 is maybe best. Actually, could have potentially gone knight e5, but I mean, endgames are also really enjoyable here. I think this is like a very good illustration of what can go wrong if black is going for this early b5 push. And on knight e4 we could take and play bishop d6, but you have to keep in mind that they can also go for the intermezzo and then the have hanging knight and hanging pawn. Funny enough, there's still knight d4 with a winning position. Could do that. Okay, let's go for it. Why not? This looks rather simple. He doesn't even take. Allows us to play bishop d6. Okay, maybe queen f6 was the idea, and now on knight d4 he wants e5. But I don't think that should really help. I have a feeling we need to have at least a win after something like maybe b6, ed, b7, rook a7, bishop b8, rook b7. This got a little bit messier than I wanted, have to say though. I missed the fact that he can go e5. Could do bishop e5, queen e7 and just knight d4, maybe that's like simplest. But bishop e5, can he play queen f5? Maybe that is doable. Okay, I mean 95 looks like simplest, honestly. Not sure why I'm spending million of years in this position. Like, he's got no moves, and like bishop b5 can just play c4. His king is stuck in the center, we can like easily infiltrate. It was one of those positions where I tried to find the checkmate, but just need to play solid chess and opponent resigns pretty quickly. You need to be precise, like rook b1, knight c6. I think there's a window with knight d7 and rook b7. Indeed, don't see much counterplay there. No need to take and play queen d6 because there's like rook d8 and not so simple. So this looks simplest to me. Then on knight c6, wanted to just take and go rook b7. That felt more than enough. King e8 and usually queen a4 is the way to end the game. Okay, actually rook c7 is, I think, a nice finish. There's no way to defend the knight, and if he moves it, queen a4 is pretty deadly. I think rook c7 was a nice final touch. No need to start queen a4. Yeah, opponent resigns. Okay, I think that was actually a very well played game. Can we check like the game report? But this one was pretty good. Yeah, like if you see, this was the percentage. I think the game was like pretty well played. We do get a game with the white pieces, and we're gonna be playing the Jobava London, just getting our nice little setup, and looks like we're gonna be facing off the Grünfeld lights. where we will pretty much always be playing it for the early h4 attack. So if the castle h5 is very strong, and I really expect a lot of your opponents to just go for this h5 move, even though h6 is also playable, also c6, but I really expect most of them to go h5. Now the plan is to bring the knight towards this critical square on e5. This is maybe one of the most common ideas of the London system in general, and it works very well here in the Jobava as well, because yeah, it's usually very nice when black has pushed this pawn to d5, because it's gonna be pretty tricky for them to get rid of that knight. And now the plan would be to simply go queen d2 and long castle. I'm wondering if we have some kind of a dc5 move. I've looked this up, obviously, trying to remember what my analysis was. I think I'm just gonna be playing it with queen d2. Maybe dc is actually interesting. I remember looking up something like this. dc, queen a5, yeah, I think maybe it's like dc in this position. Expecting queen a5. Then I'll go queen d2, queen takes on c5. We are gonna be having a pretty funny trap. Now I think we castle long, and on knight c6 we take it. I think that's how the line goes. And it's gonna be fun if they take with a b pawn. They have to take with a queen. Ooh. Fell right into my trap. Okay, this is good. I've looked up this variation quite a while ago, but managed to get it on the board. Quite surprised by that. Okay, he has knight e4 as a move, but I'm gonna be up a free piece in these lines. Just stop the knight. Opponent plays on. Don't really mind it. We can just go bg3. Continue developing. I like getting in f3. And now actually had in mind to push e4, but shouldn't forget about bishop h6 ideas. So maybe simplest would be to do something like bishop a6 and bishop a6 and meeting bishop h6 with probably rook e1. I think can do e4, even though we can still get bishop to h6. We're gonna be having a lot of pieces. Alright, now I had in mind to take on e6, and then we can simply play king v1 and no counterplay. Just need to avoid this idea and we should be good. I think we just do that with king b1. They'll probably play rook b6, but we can drop the bishop back like d3 and keeping everything under control. I'm being super careful here because I really want to get this game with that super juicy trap. And okay, on c5 wanted to take initially, but then pawn will be defended, so kind of want c4. Not that it really achieves much, but I think it's nice to play this c4 move, forcing d4 and yeah, pretty much get a super safe position, and then we can open it up with ideas such as f4. And white is obviously just gonna be winning this slowly with the extra piece. Has to play d4 pretty much, but then we go f4, and this is always just not really doing much because we'll have bishop c2 at the very least, and bishop h6 can always be met by rook f2 unpinning, and it's gonna be an easy win. Okay, can just take, hitting the rook, goes e5, but just bishop to g5 can be played, and on rook f8 there is rook f1, just initiating as many trades as we can. Okay, could just do rook f1 and a4 bishop c2, keeping everything defended, and idea would be to just play rook f2 and initiate more trades with bishop f6. He wants rook takes on c4. Don't think we really mind it, but could actually be nice to just play king c1, sidestepping those ideas. Could do king a1 as well. but I feel like on c1 it's safer, and every time they take on b3 we're gonna be taking with a bishop. I'll start with rook d3. I'm just being super careful here, and bring the rook to f3. I want to be playing bishop f6 next without him giving a check, so that's why I'm going king d1, and this is gonna be next move, forcing off the bishop trade. Just taking this way so that he doesn't get any unnecessary play along the a file. And I think after bishop f6 it should be a pretty easy conversion. Yeah, just trading everything, and his pawns will start dropping one by one. Rook e6, there's the first one. Just king e2, stopping him to infiltrate. On rook f4, taking on e5. He gets the one on h4, but I can just push the a pawn down the board. I'll be defending this one for sure, just not giving away pawns for no reason. And I can just take on c5, if h3. Could easily just play rook g5, for instance. Could have played king g3 as well. Just king f3 and rook a2, I think, on rook a1. That is the plan. And just push. Oh, I forgot about the bishop, but it's not really an issue, like a real one. And we do get the checkmate. Okay, a little bit closer than I wanted this game to be, but I mean, kept it under control and managed to get a pretty nice win with that opening trap. So yeah, for those of you that are just tuning in, let me actually show you how this game started, because I managed to get a pretty classical trap against the Grünfeld. So we started the game in this fashion. Everything theory, and now I took on c5, expecting this queen a5 move. I went queen d2, he took, and now now it was knight a4. I forgot about that one. Jeez. Could have done it in the first place. I think maybe this is what Eric Rosen had against Gawain Jones. I don't remember. This could be what Eric Rosen had against Gawain Jones. Okay, I only remember this idea that we've got in the game, where after taking, pawn takes, there's knight a4 and queen's getting trapped. Actually forgot about the fact that I could have gone for it immediately. So yeah, here it's better for black, of course. Take with a queen. And I knew we're getting pretty complex positions. Yeah, normally you either play f3 or bishop e5. I think you can take that pawn on d5, but black should generally get compensation. These positions are like pretty typical to what you can normally get from the Sicilian Dragon when white is winning a pawn, but black has long-term compensation on the queen side. So perhaps something like this might be a bit more clever, just keeping the position a little bit more close. Maybe even bishop b5 ideas to develop, but mainly I think the plan should be f3, bishop e2 and g4. Alright, getting the white pieces. Let's go for the Jobava London. And we're running into the King's Indian stuff. Let's go bishop f4 and give him the chance to play like the Grünfeld if he wants it. Okay, let's just play it like a Pirk then. I'm not gonna be playing my main recommendation, which was the Austrian attack, but I'll try to show you how to be playing in these lines. This is also like pretty typical. He goes knight c6. This is interesting. I think it's best to maybe play f3 if my memory is right, Because e5 now, the queen d8 is not amazing for him, I think. Then that's it. That's actually like doable. The thing is, yeah, he plays bishop d7, but it's not an amazing move. Wondering if e5 works well now, because he can like no longer trade queens. I guess e5 is a good move. And after knight h5, for example, or like let's say d knight h5, can maybe just go bishop h6. Yeah, I think that's how we actually punish this. I'll just play the most aggressive way possible. Knight 8 and now just like bishop h6. I think this is how we refute this setup. Now push the h pawn down the board. If d, just d. Okay, I'm fine with takes. And again, taking to open up the rook. I think just now h4, h5 is pretty devastating. Another idea could be knight h3 to g5. But like knight h3, I think he maybe has f6. If I go bishop c4, he has king h8, which is like not so simple to deal with. Just h4, and in case he tries out like knight g7 with knight f5 ideas, well, I can, okay, he goes to f6. Could continue with h5, knight takes, and then I have a feeling rook takes is quite promising. Could also just do g4. Has to waste the move with like queen c8 and then pin, but then h5 seems pretty crashing. Kind of want to do this pretty badly. I think that's the move, and then we play g4. Okay, just goes queen 8, but I think this is too slow because we can take, and I guess he takes with the f pawn, and we have some kind of knight e4 move and queen f7, knight g5 maybe. That allows queen takes on a2, so maybe it's not the most precise. Also, don't have to rush with takes. Could start with knight d5, and after knight takes, rook takes, I'm hitting the knight. So maybe I like that better. Yeah, I think this is the most accurate one. Because in the other lines, he was getting some decent protection over his king, but now I'm threatening to just take, and then he's getting mated after we open up the h-file. So he takes with the pawn, but this shouldn't really last for very long. Just takes on f5, and rook takes on h5 seems to be ending the game. This is kind of unstoppable. Bishop f5, only move where we can take it. Okay, I think that was nice. I bet it was a very accurate game. I actually looked up these positions at some point, and I remember it this way, that we have played its best. Like, remember that f3 is important in this position, because what I think I used to do wrong was bishop h6, and now black gets in a good version after e5. So I actually made this mistake quite a lot, and playing these positions is still like doable, but it's definitely very double-edged. So there's like no reason to allow that. That's like the main learning that you can take from this game. Just to start with f3, and the problem is that I think e5 doesn't work very well now. And there are some forced lines like this one, and there's like a knight takes on e4 idea, but I think we can take on g7, and there are some forced lines that I've looked up at some point, but I remember them working out well. So now we like attack the knight. We're having currently a minor piece for the rook, but after g4 the knight is getting trapped. We're gonna be winning it, and we're keeping 2 minors for the rook in the endgame, which should also give a winning position. So I look these positions up, I can tell you for sure. And yeah, after f3 it's not so easy for black to make a move, and normally they can do a6, but now you can get an improved version of like bishop h6. It's just like here you can get into the e5 lines, but you've got the same position where you got yourself a useful f3 move, and they've got a6, which is not so amazing, and your attack is just like much quicker in these lines. That is the main point. And yeah, when they play bishop d7, usually you have this e5 really good move. Apparently it's better to just go h4. I actually forgot about the fact that they are simply unable to take on e5 now because bishop on d7 drops. But what I did was also pretty standard and thematic. Alright, we're getting the white pieces. Let's go for the Jobava London. Getting the knight out to c3, and is it gonna be another one playing c6? That would be a bit too much, but like okay, if you're like 2100, 2200, learn this opening super well, like this setup, because everyone plays it. Just go f3, g4, Probably this one will be connected with h5 and knight g8. Okay, we see h6, just bishop d3, and really expecting takes. We're gonna be always taking with a queen. That is my way to go, and idea is to castle long, follow it up with knight e2 with g5 ideas. Opponent plays b5, which is fairly typical, but I don't think that's right because it allows g5 g6. I don't think we mind b4. Taking, I think, should be even worse for my opponent because I'm gonna be the one making use of that file, so then why open it when you can keep it closed? It doesn't really make much sense. I think throwing in g6 is good. Rook a8 also quite a big candidate, but I guess he just plays knight e7, so don't see how, like, what we're gaining from it. So I feel like starting this way can be more beneficial. Threatening to take, and his king is misplaced, plus this pawn will be weaker. Normally they play like f5. We see f6. Could go rook h8 and force knight e7. Then maybe bishop d6 is a good move. Because on castle there's rook takes on f8, and we're gonna be having the two minors. Kind of feel like a3 is an easy move to get a big edge here. But this just feels too good not to be played. And now bishop d6. Yeah, and okay, like there's this simple motif. Taking with bishop e7. The thing is, he's gonna get some activity, but I don't think it should be like enough. Like rook h8, I'll just play a3. You're welcome, you have one check, but I'll put my king on d2, and what's next? Okay, maybe they have knight b6, but there's b3. But b3, there's knight c4. Holy smokes. Might have blundered this one as well. It's like here, knight b6, b3. There's knight c4 check, and if I take it bc, my queen is getting trapped, which is like pretty funny and unusual. So like knight d1, maybe not so bad. He can infiltrate with queen e1. It's definitely not what I had in mind when I played a3. On like king d2, there's also knight b6, bishop b4 maybe, and like queen a6. Maybe in that position play b3, but it doesn't change anything. Insane stuff. So king d2, knight b6. I mean, it just looks awful. Let's do knight d1. Pretty silly retreating move, but what to do if I played it like that? I missed that crazy idea. I mean, just getting my queen trapped out of nowhere after blundering. After opponent blundering, then he can trap my queen in study-like fashion is absolutely insane to me. Just f4. I need to like coordinate my knights. I think they are placed okay like that, defending each other. Wanted bishop c5 and knight c4, maybe just b3, trying to get rid of the knight. Could take it if I feel like we need to. Maybe e4 is interesting move, and like b4, queen a6, threatening ab. Okay, queen a5 and bishop d6. Isn't this completely winning? I think it is. Could collect the pawn with queen c3. Against that, maybe simply bishop b4, preparing queen c5 and queen infiltrating, also taking with the bishop. Maybe bishop a3 was better. Yeah, just this, and he can't take the pawn because of queen e8 and bishop a5. I think he's just dead lost now. Same motif. Queen f7, queen e8, checkmate. Wow, amazing! We managed to win a winning position. That is first timer for the stream. In almost like 2 hours, we managed to win a winning game. Yay! I mean, it feels kind of good, not gonna lie. So okay, we've got this position. That was amazing, and apparently I'm not supposed to start with g6, even though typically it's a good move. Yeah, no, it was definitely good. Bishop d6 was best move. Taking was good. And okay, a3 was a good move, and like rook h1, knight d1 I think was important. Apparently position is still good. But like I thought king d2 should be bad after knight b6. I've seen bishop b4, but I thought queen a6. Oh, there's knight d1. But who allows knight c4 and just plays king c1? Like, what kind of animal allows that? Otherwise, if you play b3, this is very much a thing as I told you. Play knight d1, and then I think game was objectively winning all the time with b3 and e4. Yes, then it was pretty easy, for precise, and yeah, okay. Finally, decent game. Thanks a lot for making it this far into the video, and if you're looking for more content, make sure to check out some of the previous episodes from the same series.